My name is Damon Brown of DamonBrown.net. I'm here to help you on your journey as a solopreneur, as a side hustler, and as a non-traditional entrepreneur. I am one of you, and I've had some success. Had my last startup get acquired while I was a primary caretaker of, at the time, my 4-month-old, and it's an amazing journey. I would like to help you on your journey so you can see some of the success that I've experienced while taking care of your life because you actually have a life. Today I'm talking about Bollywood icon Shah Rukh Khan. I want to make sure I pronounce that correctly because my in-laws are actually from India. They would kill me if I screwed up his name because he's a legend over there. He's a Bollywood actor, probably the top 10 Bollywood actors, definitely living, perhaps of all time. And he was interviewed by David Letterman on David Letterman Presents, a really cool series that started on Netflix a few years ago, where it's just David Letterman shooting the stuff with major people such as Jerry Seinfeld, Jay-Z. I want to say that yeah, quite a few other folks were on there, like Kim Kardashian, like people that people care about what they have to say, and it's just an interview straight up for about an hour, as well as some behind the scenes stuff that happens, which is really good. David Letterman is a fascinating interviewer. What got me about this is a really simple 7-word quote, and I mentioned it in my ink column over at inkdamonbrown.com. Feel free to check it out. There's hundreds of columns there for you to read. And what Shah Rukh Khan said, again, top 10 living Bollywood actor, like hands down, probably one of the most prominent and well-known Indians in the world. He's well known. He's like their version of Tom Cruise, as they say. And David Letterman asked him, well, how do you deal with this? Like your ego, how do you deal with this? And he says, I am an employee of the myth. Shah Rukh Khan says, I am an employee of the myth. So in other words, there's Shah Rukh Khan, the brand, and there's Shah Rukh Khan, who is married to his high school or equivalent of the high school sweetheart and has 2 or 3 little kids at home. Like they're 2 separate people. This is important for a couple of different reasons. The first one is that it separates you from your impact. It separates you from your impact. I do a lot of coaching. I've coached hundreds of folks now who are independents, probably like yourself if you're listening or watching this. And we sometimes take it too personally. Now, me serving you and helping you get to the next level with whatever you're trying to create as a product or as a service or just as an individual, that's personal to me because I care about serving you. That's personal. Like, that's cool. What I'm talking about is taking things personally. You might not like this video. You might have cut off already. You might not even be hearing what I'm saying. I got books. I got a new book called Build From Now that comes out January 28th, 2021. You can pre-order at DamonBrown.net. You might not care, but I'm still going to put the book out. Now, it doesn't mean that you're brutal about it or aggressive about it. Like, I'm going to put it out anyway. I don't care what you have to say because that's sour grapes. What I'm trying to say is that what you can control is you serving. He is an employee of the myth. Just like I'm an employee of, my company is Damon Brown. So I'm an employee of Damon Brown. So my goal, my main focus is to serve the Damon Brown brand as much as possible. And I do that by serving you. So if you don't like the content I put out, just like if Shah Rukh Khan has a movie that flops, and he does a lot of movies, so I'm sure not all of them did well. If he has a movie that flops, or if someone doesn't like his content, he's not going to take it as personally as someone that's thinking their heart is bleeding on there. Now, this is my 25th book. Every book is hard. This is one of the hardest books I've had to write just because of all the intensity of this particular year. All the stuff that's going on, I don't have to break it down, but also because it's one of the most personal and intense books. I talk about a lot of stuff in here. It's my most powerful book yet. But if you don't buy it, I know that I've served well to the brand. Again, I'm an employee of the myth. That's it. It's not about Damon Brown having his name in lights. I've had my name in lights. I've had best-selling books. I've been on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. I've sold my startups, or just one startup, but I've done several startups. I sold one of them to great success. I've been on a TED stage 4 times. I've had my name in lights. That's not what it's about. What it's about is serving you. And if the names happen to be in lights, my ego loves it, but I know that's not why I'm there. If I end up impacting one of y'all with this video, then that's enough. That's cool with me. So separating you from your impact. The second part, when you look at yourself as an employee of the myth, is it allows you to separate you from your idea. And I kind of got with this in the first part as far as you versus your impact. Your actual idea might not work. Your idea might suck. And I don't mean suck as in you're a bad person or you're not meant for this, you're not cut out for this. I mean it might suck as in the timing might be off. You might not be the person to deliver that particular product, service, or idea to the public. Maybe the idea was tried several years ago and things haven't evolved enough. There's, startup ideas and things that I've done, books that I have suggested, particularly when I was back with the traditional publishing industry. I've done 25 books. The first 18 or so were with traditional publishers over in New York and over on the West Coast in LA and San Francisco. And so there were books that were rejected by them, or the timing wasn't right, or I gave up on it and all that, and they end up becoming bestsellers for somebody else later. That separates me from my idea. The timing wasn't right for whatever reason. And again, it doesn't feel good, but that's nothing to take personal. Shah Rukh Khan talks about this a little bit during the interviews where, as far as how he creates, and he has, at least in the conversations, and I've seen him at TED. He spoke at TED one of the years I was there a few years ago, and I saw his little entourage, but he seemed very down to earth. And that's definitely his energy. And he seemed very humble, even though he's one of the most well-known people in the world. Definitely in India. He's like probably top 5 next to the Prime Minister and a couple other folks, also Bollywood actors. So that keeps a level of humility there. Because you know that when your next thing becomes a hit or a bestseller or whatever, you're grounded enough to say, I'm an employee of this. Essentially, the way I interpret it, I'm an employee of you. Right? If the book becomes a bestseller, or even with my previous book, Bring Your Worth, this was not a bestseller. But most of the people who bought the book, because I was independent, most people that bought the book contacted me or shared it on social media. Look up Bring Your Worth, the hashtag, on any of the major social media platforms. Not only will you see me, because I put the hashtag into everything I post, but you'll see a ton of other people who resonated with the book. So it didn't do the numbers as my previous bestseller, The Ultimate Bites as Entrepreneur, which did gangbusters, but it resonated in the way that it was supposed to be received to the right people. So you might not have the Hollywood blockbuster, but if your place is, again, in service, and you're an employee of the myth, I've been serving people in the right way, whether it was a bestseller or not. And that helps me sleep at night, and also make sure that you know that I'm genuine and my focus is on serving you, not just churning out another bestseller. So remember, you are an employee to the myth. What that myth is, perhaps in a one-on-one coaching session or in reading my books, you'll help figure out what that myth is. For me, the myth is, which is meta because it is about a myth, the belief that you have to sacrifice everything to make your entrepreneurial mark is a myth. That's it. If you go to davidbrown.net, every single piece of content, and every interview I do, every video you watch or listen to, every book, the last 7 books, this is actually a compilation, it's the last 7 books in the last 4 years, same argument. That's my myth. I'm an employee to that myth, and that myth helps me serve you. Hopefully well. And I love Shah Rukh Khan for breaking it down, and I appreciate his humility, and I love being able to share that little nugget of wisdom, and hopefully gets you a little bit closer where you need to be. If you wanted more insight and you're trying to figure out how to maximize your resources, particularly ones I always talk about, focus, agility, time, and energy, come on over to buildfromnowquiz.com. Buildfromnowquiz.com. If you need help remembering, it's the name of the new book coming out January 28th, 2021. Again, you can pre-order it. But come over to buildfromnowquiz.com. I have a super short quiz. It's literally 3 or 4 questions. It is free. It takes 2 minutes. Hundreds of you have already taken it. I so appreciate it. Come through, take the quiz. Quick assessment, and you can find out what your biggest resource is and how to maximize it. And it's a good preparation for reading Build From Now, because there's a section dedicated to each of the 4 major resources: focus, agility, time, and energy. So thanks so much for listening. I hope this gets you on your journey. And remember to always bring your worth and that you can always build from now. Take care.